Google Workspace Studio is here and it's about to help you automate tasks like never before. Hey there, I'm Tasia Custodi and this is how to use Google Workspace Studio. But first, you may be thinking, what is Google Workspace Studio? It's an AI-powered platform designed to create, manage, and share AI agents that automate routine work tasks across Gmail, Drive, Chat, and even other third-party apps like Asana, Jira, and MailChimp. Workspace Studio allows you to build automated flows using simple, natural language prompts. So think, with Workspace Studio, you can automate anything from simply drafting email replies to more advanced automations, like maybe tracking client invoice requests, and yes, even filling out invoices automatically. I know. To use Google Workspace Studio, you must have a Google Workspace account. And to use AI features, your Google Workspace admin must enable Gemini on your account. And with that, let's learn how to use Google Workspace Studio. And there are actually a couple of different ways to access Workspace Studio, as well as 3 different ways to automate your workflows. First, when you're signed into your Google Workspace account, you can access the Workspace Studio Discover page by heading to studio.workspace.google.com at any time. Or, alternatively, you can click on the Studio icon near the top right corner of your Gmail or Google Drive. This will open up a pop-up on the right side of Gmail or Drive where you can click to do more in Studio. And that'll head you right back to your Discover page. We're going to touch more on this pop-out later. From your Studio Discover page, there are a few different ways to automate your work with Gemini. First, at the top, you can use plain language to describe a task that you'd like to automate. Second, you can scroll through some helpful pre-built workflow templates like email boosters, meeting helpers, and task and action items. And lastly, you can use the plus symbol on the left to create a new flow from scratch. Now, if you're looking for a quick time-saving way to build flows, I definitely recommend using the natural language prompt or the template option. But in this video, I want to focus on how to create a flow from scratch because this allows for a fully customized workflow tailored to exactly what you need. From your Workspace Studio Discover page, click on the plus symbol on the left to create a new flow. Every flow has 2 main parts, a starter and steps. So from here, you're going to want to choose how to start your flow. You have quite a few options to choose from on how to start a flow. Anything from when you're mentioned, when a file is edited based on a meeting, when you get an email, when an item is added to a folder, when a form response comes in, and more. Most starters have required fields that need to be filled out. So for this example, let's click on a schedule. From here, we'll choose and configure a starter to launch our flow. Then we'll select a start date and time. We'll click to decide whether or not we want to repeat it and when, if at all, we'd like this flow to end. Clicking on Show More will even allow you to select a time zone. Next, we're going to click on Choose a Step in order to add an action. Now, there are a lot of actions to choose from here. Everything from AI skills to tools to Gmail, chat, sheets, Drive, docs, and tasks. Steps are tasks that the flow performs after it's started. So you can really get a feel for just how custom you can get with a flow created from scratch. For this, I'm going to select Recap Unread Emails. Up at the top here, we're going to set our time range for this summary. Since I've set this flow to notify me at 8 a.m. every morning, I'm going to pick yesterday. So the first thing in the morning, I'm going to get a summary of important unread emails from the day before. And you can see here, we've already got a detailed auto-filled prompt to generate a summary. But you can add more than one step in your desired actions. To do so, simply click on Add Step. And again, here we're going to choose an additional step. Each step is going to have its own unique requirements. So we've said we want a recap of unread emails, but we should add a step of how we want to be notified of these. Maybe I'd like to be notified in chat. Here on the left, it's added that step. And then here on the right, I can add the message. Now you can type in something here or you can add a variable. Variables are essentially placeholders for information from starters in previous steps that can be used to pass information to later steps, making your flow dynamic. So for this, I'd like to be notified via chat with the summary of unread emails. If I hover over this inserted chip, I can see that when the flow runs, the actual summary of unread emails is used. Your variables will depend on the starter and action steps you're taking. Now, before we complete a flow, we do need to title it. So name your flow whatever works for you by clicking on the untitled name near the top left. For this example, I'm going to call this Important Unread Emails Recap. You can click to rename the flow at any time. You can also click the three-dot menu icon to manage your steps at any time. Or you can click on a step to go back to that step if you wish. And if you want to quickly rearrange steps, you can simply choose to move them up or move them down. Be aware that whenever you move a step, this affects what information the steps have access to. So as in this example, if I move that notify me in chat to happen before the recap of unread emails, this step turns red. This indicates that more information is needed or that there is an issue. In this case, this sequence would not be able to run because it's trying to use a variable that hasn't been yet created. It needs the recap of unread emails in order to run properly. I'm simply going to move this step back to step 3, and the issue is resolved. Now, once your flow is configured, you can click Test Run to run a test, and you'll be notified that a test run takes real actions. Depending on your flow, your test run may have different options. Simply click on Start to begin the test run. In this case, I received the notification in chat just like I asked, and we can see in our studio that the run is completed. All that's left to do is click Turn On in order to officially turn on this flow. You can use the left-facing arrow near the flow name to go back home to your Workspace Studio dashboard that houses all your flows. Here, you'll be able to get a quick glance of all your flows and whether or not they're active. From here, you can click the three-dot menu icon to edit your flow, make a copy, turn it off, or delete it completely. You can change a flow at any time by clicking into it. And then from here, you'd make those necessary changes and make sure to click Save Changes at the bottom when you're done. From any page in your studio, you can navigate to the Discover page using the left Discover tab. Or you can click that plus symbol to add another new flow from scratch. So let's look at another couple examples of how custom flows can function once they're in place. First, let's say you have a really important meeting coming up and you want to draft a reminder email with that meeting link. You can do that with a custom flow in Workspace Studio. From our Studio Discover page, we're going to click that plus symbol. I'm going to title this flow Upcoming Meeting Reminder. Then under starters, we'll select based on a meeting. Now, something important to note here is in this meeting field that it actually considers any calendar event to be a meeting. So you will see in the drop down here that you can turn this flow on for literally anything and everything on your calendar, or you can select an individual calendar event. Obviously, if you're going through the work of creating a flow, you may not want to set this up for a single event, but you get the idea. You'll select the time that you would like this to happen, and you can choose between minutes, hours, or days. And then we'll select when we want it to start, either before or after the meeting. In this case, I'm going to choose before. Now, under our actions, we need to choose a step. I'm going to scroll down a bit and select Draft an Email. So this flow will draft an email for us. It's not going to send it on our behalf. In the To field, we can type an @ symbol to add a variable. And here we can see we can draft an email to all guest email addresses, just the ones who've confirmed, or to the ones who were a maybe or even a no, which is pretty neat. Now in the subject field, we're going to add exactly what we want the subject of the email to be. So for this, I'm going to say Upcoming Meeting Reminder. Then in our message, we're going to type in what we want the body of the email to say. So for this, maybe, hi, our meeting is starting soon. Here's the link to join. Then I'm going to type the @ symbol. And importantly, if you want the proper Google Meet link to be added, you must choose the meeting video call link. So we're going to add that in here, and then we're going to say, see you soon. Now remember, we can click to run a test of the flow to ensure everything is working okay. And with the proper meeting selected, let's hit start on the test. So let's pop into Gmail, head to my drafts, and sure enough, there is a draft email from the test we just ran, and it's provided that Google Meet link just as we wanted. Now remember, once you've run that successful test, you have to actually turn on the workflow. So now let's use natural language to describe a desired workflow. For this, we're going to use the prompt bar at the top and ask Gemini to help us extract invoice information from my incoming emails and create a sheet to track the information. We're going to hit create, and Workspace Studio gets to work instantly, creating a flow that we can then review. It's really important to review flows created with Gemini. So remember, you can rename the flow. You can ensure that you're happy with both the starter and the steps that it has created. And you can adjust any of the steps or add any additional steps if you'd like. And since this was created for us using natural language, you can always pop in there and add any missing details. And now that you have a handle on creating custom flows, you're going to want to take advantage of them inside your Gmail and Drive. From either Gmail or Drive, when you click that studio icon, you'll see all your workflows in a pop-out side panel. You can click on Discover to access a couple of quick suggestions based on the tab you're in. So if you're in Gmail, these suggestions will look different than if you're in Drive. And you can actually click on a flow to create one right from here too without even going to your Discover tab. Now, clicking on Activity will give you a list of your complete, in progress, or any flows that happen to have any issues. And remember, at any time, you can click Do More in Studio on the bottom to be brought into your Studio Discover page. So that's how to use Google Workspace Studio, and we'd love to know how you're using Google Workspace Studio. What flows have you tried and how have they saved you time in your day? Drop a comment below. And if you like this video, give it a like, a share, or subscribe to 66 Degrees YouTube channel for more content just like this. And if you want even more help with Google Workspace Studio, be sure to reach out to 66 Degrees. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.